The offense is not going to be an easy fit for Jaren Jackson Jr. and the Utah Jazz, and going to take some creativity and massaging. It's deep dive number 2 of the day on Locked On Jazz.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked On Jazz. It's your daily or twice daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, the second edition of Deep Dive number 2, deep statistical dive into Jaren Jackson's offensive numbers. If you did not already hear it, we have the deep dive into Jaren Jackson and the defensive numbers in a previous episode that you can get at Locked On Jazz. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe on YouTube as well, and make sure you get all of these episodes. All right, let's deep dive the offense. We will look at, over the course of the next 30 minutes, somehow we will look at shooting, pick and roll, off-ball screening, dives, post-ups, isolation play, overall offense. And that's it. Okay. Let's start with points gained. So it gives us a very good overview of what kind of offensive player he is. Points gained is our exclusive offensive metric for Locked On Jazz. It evaluates your ability to get a shot off and then your efficiency when you do use a possession. The concept is that if he's using 20 scoring opportunities a game, this is the amount of points that somebody uses, that an average player in the league, and how he would compare to if a bunch of average players in the league use the same amount of possessions. If you've never heard of points gained before, it's on an individual night. Usually we have about 10 players in the league that are over 2, and you have 3 or 4 players over 3. Most other players are huddling around there. Negative offensive players are far worse than anyone realizes, is one of the major themes. In 21-22, Jaren Jackson was a negative 0.9. So if you took his offensive opportunities, gave them to an average offensive player, they would have scored 0.9 points more than Jaren Jackson did with those opportunities. In 22-23, he was a positive 0.8. We're going to look at the last 5 years of his career. 6 years ago, he played like 17 games. Last 5 years of his career. 23-24, which is this, as we talked about in the defensive podcast, is this weird year where he's not very good. He's a minus 1.1. That's not great for a big man, particularly if he's playing any center at all. This system loves centers. Centers dunk a lot, and it makes them look a lot better. And so, because dunks are really important, because as Mike D'Antoni once said to me, we'd never shoot a 3 if we could dunk every single time. Dunks are valuable. In 24-25, he was a positive 0.8. And in 25-26, so far this year, he's a negative 0.2. He is efficiency-wise ranging around average. If you actually add all those up for the year, for the last 5 years, he comes out slightly below average in his offensive efficiency when he uses a possession. He goes to the free throw line about 11 to 12% of his possessions, except for this year, he's only going to the free throw line 9.6% of his possessions. I did a podcast on this before we traded for him. Ron Boone and I, after the Memphis game, if you go back and find the postcast after the Memphis game, I believe our entire conversation is what are they going to do about Jaren Jackson? He clearly doesn't fit in their offensive system. They just signed him a $50 million extension, and what are they going to do about this? And that's clear. He takes about 25% of his possessions as three-point shots. Okay. Bunch of notes for him. One of the reasons why he's negative this year is his free throws have dropped from 6 to 4 a game. That's not great. Free throws are the most efficient way to score. His turnover rate is at a career high, and his usage rate is a 3-year low. And as we dig into these numbers today, Tomas Isalo may not be wrong at having his usage rate at a 3-year low And that might be the number one thing that Will Hardy's going to have to massage here, is that there is a chance that Jaren Jackson Jr., who has been the number one or number two offensive option in Memphis, should be the Utah Jazz fourth offensive option. And I don't know that Jaren Jackson would be fired up for that, but we'll explain why here in a minute. This is not going to be an easy offensive fit. This is defensively, he's awesome. The takeaway I'm giving you right away, this is not going to be an easy offensive fit. It's going to have some hurdles. It's clear when you look at the data how they probably should use him. And it's going to be a question of whether you can massage that into a way that Jaren Jackson Jr. is comfortable with. He is not an elite athletic player around the rim. He gets a lot of shots blocked. He had 122 shots blocked 2 years ago, which is over 2 a game. He had 97 last year. He has 53 in 45 games this year. His rim finishing took a huge dive this year. Huge dive. 4 years ago, he finished 70% of his shots at the rim. Then he went to 63. Then he went to 67%. This year, he's at 57%. And he's taking far fewer shots at the rim. He went from taking 30% of his shots at the rim to 22% to 12% last year and now to 15%. He is suddenly playing from 3 to 10 feet much more than he's playing at the rim. He's pretty good at it. His little floaters of 52 or 56 shot has gone from 44 to 52 to 56%. So that's super good. However, you're far better off having a guy at 65 or 70% at the rim than stopping and always taking a floater. The shot block numbers of getting his shot blocked 122 times 2 years ago and then 97 times last year leads me to wonder if that's why the rim shots have gone from 30% to 22% to 12% to 15%, and why his rim finishing has dropped as well. This is 57% rim finishing for a 6'10 guy is not good. He is watching him play. He moves awkwardly and not like elite athletically with like this massive jump and over the top of people, like standing still, pow, dunk, or pogo stick second jump like an Ace Bailey. His dunks in the 22-23 season, he had 83. The last 2 years, he had 34 and 31. And this year, he's had 11. He's 6'10". So his play around the basket has gone away a little bit. Now, there was certainly an offensive system change when they fired Taylor Jenkins last year and put in Tomas Isolo. And so this is a major part of this impact. But those aren't great numbers. So overall picture of Jaren Jackson Jr. as an offensive player is that his offensive individual possession usage, which, by the way, I know your instinct as a Jazz fan is to say, well, our offensive system will create something different, and maybe it will, because Will Hardy's about to have created 2 of the 4 most improved players in the last 4 seasons. I generally don't believe that. Statistically, I would tell you that most players switch teams, switch teammates, and their individual offensive efficiency of taking that shot stays the same. Now, maybe Will Hardy's going to find a way to give him other opportunities. One of the things would be to get him in transition more. That's always better. And he has not been in transition a great amount of time in Memphis. Okay. So part 2 of this, we're going to look at how and what his certain play usage is. So that's kind of overall where he is, his offense efficiency, and a major drop of time at the rim and rim finishing. Move to the floater, which he's gotten way better at. 56% of the floater is pretty good. It's just not as good as a rim shot. So how is he as a pick and roll big? How is he as an off-ball screener? We're the number 1 off-ball team in the league. How is he on post-ups? How is he on isolations? How is he on drives? That's all next on Locked On Jazz. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by, excuse me, the double show into an evidently wearing me out, is brought to you by Indeed. Indeed is here to help you do the hiring and get the people you want that are high level. Indeed.com/powerhouse podcast is the site, and Indeed is your answer because Indeed sponsored jobs give it to you. They give you the candidates who match what you're looking for, and they give you the right background who actually can help your business move forward. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit who fit your special criteria like skills, certifications, and locations. So if you're hiring, you don't want someone who can help. You want someone who has real experience and jump in right now. You want specific things, and you target exactly what you need, and that's where Indeed comes in to help you. It saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches with sponsored jobs. So in the minute we're going to talk about this, Indeed has hired 27 people for jobs and companies like yours, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing with candidates. Check all the boxes with Indeed sponsored gifts, and listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way. Today's show is also brought to you by the Stoke factor, the fun, the excitement that exists at Woodward, just 20 miles up from Salt Lake City. Woodward Park City is the easiest place in Utah to learn and experience for the first time skiing and snowboarding and learn more. And boy, have they have worked hard and done a masterful job. Snow's coming Tuesday, but they've still had it rocking there. The pikes, the parks, all the fun that is Woodward. What a great year, though, if you've got a little one, to have them learn how to do this and get the experience over, because Woodward offers experiential learning in a radically fun and safe environment, from bounce, from a park to a pits to ramps to tramps and back again. The Mountain Pass is just $4.99. Rip hop laps with the posse after school and into the evening. Maximize mountain time this winter at one of the best terrain parks in Utah all season long. Looking to go all in, the All Access memberships provides just passes to parks, to discounts, all more. So if you're just starting out, as I mentioned, learn to fly with Woodward Tribe and seasonal and multi-week programs that build skills and confidence in Stoke-inspiring environments. Just 20 minutes from Salt Lake, Woodward's offers experiential learning with facilities for all abilities. Learn at woodward.com/parks. The all-new Mountain Park Season Pass, $4.99. Ride all season at one of Wasatch's best terrain parks and get the absolute best value of your winter. It's the best place to maximize mountain time. Easy in, easy out, right there in the parking lot. Go to Woodward Park City. Check it out. Get some Stoke factor up and having a blast at Woodward Park City. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. Thank you as well for making us the #1 sports podcast network. Everydayer program is out there for you. This is the time for it. This is the season. Join now. Here's what if you're members of the Everydayer program, you got an extra access Q&A yesterday. You got Lauri Markkanen practice I threw in there as well for you yesterday. Also one-on-one direct texting with me about things and how it's working. Little cap breakdown I gave you today. Little how we use trade exception. I think we use the trade exception today for you. All sorts of things of that nature come to you directly one-on-one. Leave Tulane creating bonus content for draft and previews and all that sort of stuff, because that's what he's great at. So he's doing that for you. And in addition to that, you get access to the Locked On store. You get a daily newsletter in your inbox. You get Locked On Sports Today ad-free in your feed. You get Locked On Jazz ad-free, and you get access to our Discord channel where we're trying to build the best jazz community of fun and smart and intellectual and good basketball people talking about it with other really smart people. That's all at the Everydayer Club. You can get the Locked On Sports Today, Locked On Jazz ad-free, and the Discord as well for $5. The All Access is $15. Promo code JJJ. Promo code JJJ gets you a month free. So go to lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. All right. Let's talk about JJ with the most popular plays. So pick and roll screener. He ranked last year 92nd out of 100 players in offensive efficiency on the screen as a screener in the pick and roll. Now that's two people involved. There's a guard. Zacky's on the floor. It's crowded. Could be a lot of stuff. Walker Kessler ranked 96th. This is a real challenge for Will Hardy when he puts this thing together. You have an emerging guard in Keyonte George who's been great, and beginning to learn pick and roll. We run the second least amount of pick and roll of any team in the NBA, so maybe not that big a deal, but we still run a lot of pick and roll. And Jaren Jackson was 92nd out of 100, and Walker Kessler was 96th out of 100, and we still got to run some pick and roll. Over the last 5 years, Jaren Jackson ranks on 96. He's run the 50th most picks at 3,600. And he ranks 96th out of 101 in efficiency. So 0.88 5 years ago, 0.93, 0.895, 0.88, and 0.91. Okay. So we talked in the defensive thing that Jaren Jackson's really a power forward. He's probably still really a power forward offensively because you don't want him as your center running the pick and roll. So we run a bunch of off-ball screen. He has run 1,646 off-ball screens in the last 5 years. He has a 0.92 average. That ranks 143rd out of 175 players that have, I think 101 was my standard, or I don't know what the standard was, but he ranks 143 out of 175. His numbers are interesting. 5 years ago, he ran 617 off-ball screens at 0.91. And then Taylor Jenkins clearly decided, yeah, maybe not. And he ran 371 the next year, so he ran about 80% fewer. Well, no, let's see. He ran about half as many. 40% fewer. 0.98. Then it went to 336. So now he's at like half the number he was 2 years ago at 0.88. And then he ran last year 221 off-ball screens. He actually got better at 1.04. And then this year he's run 101 at a 0.70, which ranks 189th out of 193. Okay. Not a great pick and roll big. Not a great off-ball screen guy. That's what we do. How do we work Jaren Jackson into the offense? So you got Lauri running your off-ball screens. That's probably fine. You got Keyonte probably working with Walker as your pick and roll guy. So what do we do with him? So his post-up numbers, where you can take advantage of some switching and punish the switch and have him post up the way we did with John Collins, are interesting. Because there's an incredible gap. And I think it all goes also back to the rim stuff. And maybe he's not been getting the right matchups. And this is where Will Hardy's really good offensive brilliance can come into play. He's taken the 17th most post-ups in the NBA over the last 5 years at 0.995. So that's not bad. Like, you're posting up late in the shot clock possession and you need something and you get 0.995 points per possession out of a late shot clock switch. That's pretty good. What's interesting is in the 21-22 season and the 22-23 season, he was really good. He averaged about 1.07 and 1.05, so 1.06. He was out of the guys who had 200 post-ups in that time period, he was 12th out of 44. So he was upper 25%. The last 2 years, he's dropped considerably, 0.97 and 0.92. He's had the 10th most, and he ranks 35th out of 47. So now he's kind of slid into the bottom quarter. Again, a lot of these, again, that might be the rim stuff. So are you posting him up? On the switches, on the right matchups, probably, but on a natural post-up, which Memphis does run a decent amount with him. They ran 207 last year, 207 the year before, 142 this year. They were on that same pace. He's playing, it's 4 or 5 a game. That's a lot of post-ups in this league. But his efficiency had dropped considerably. So he ran the 17th most amount of post-ups in the last 5 years. It's a part of his game. And he ranks 30 overall. He ranks 35th of the top 50 who've done it. So a little below average. But there's a divergence of where he was 4 and 5 years ago and where he was the last 2 years. So you can use him a little bit there, but that's going to be out of our natural action where guys switch on him and you. There are 3 areas where he can be effective. He's gotten way better as a player. And this is the answer a little bit, I think, of where you find ways for him to be a part of your offense. But this is also going to be the massaging and the working it that I think has to be done by Will Hardy, is that I think this is all going to come off secondary action. I'm going to guess that when we start to integrate Jaren Jackson Jr., the 4 or 5 post-ups a night matter. It's a lot. Frankly, it's 5% of your possessions. But I'm going to guess that that's part of his mojo. Guys have certain things they want and they like. And if you're going to get them to play defense, like, Quinn Snyder used to just believe that, like, you got to give Rudy Gobert the ball and have him touch it and do a bunch of things and run some stuff because you're asking him to play defense. If he runs up and down the floor and never touches the ball, he's not playing defense. I think there's some truth to that. You got to have players that are engaged. So I've got an answer. Post-ups are probably a little part of it. Pick and roll, off-ball screens we just showed, probably not a great answer. But there are some areas where he's improving considerably offensively that can be very valuable to the Utah Jazz, and are probably the answer on how you work this and massage this correctly with Jaren Jackson as part of the Utah Jazz. We touch on that next on Locked on Jazz. It is the final Sunday of football. Go Hawks. Go Hawks. Go Hawks. And it is your chance to get involved at FanDuel. FanDuel, this is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is sure to be right in the middle of it with the special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. If you bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets if you're a new customer. So make it count. Whether you're backing your favorite, riding the Hawks, Sam Darnold, Drake May interceptions, whatever it is, it's a perfect way to cap off this season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to final whistle. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Enjoy that one last Sunday, that one last kickoff, that one last chance to be involved in the NFL season with FanDuel. Today's show is also brought to you by TurboTax. That's right. Tax season is here, but you don't want to let tax season dominate you and overwhelm you. So instead, you can use TurboTax to use the local TurboTax experts to be able to make your life better. Turn it over and make it easier by just handing things off and moving on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress and guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with local TurboTax experts in person or connect online. They'll handle everything from W-2s to self-employment forms. Work to get you better with every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, get updates right into the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver, and it gives you real peace of mind. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by local TurboTax experts for just $150 all in. If TurboTax experts didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate. Get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local. That's TurboTax.com/local. All right. So how do we use Jaren Jackson Jr.? He has improved dramatically in isolation. So you can post him on the switches. You can get some of the switches. You can let him go to work. You can isolate him at the elbow. You can let him play ISO. In 5 years ago, he ran 233 ISOs for 0.9 points per possession. Not great. 1.1 is elite, by the way. Okay? 1.1 is elite. 4 years ago, they cut it down to 171. He went 0.99. Average. 1.1's elite. 23-24, he had 484 ISOs at 1.03. So he's jumped from 0.9 to 0.99 to 1.03. 24-25, he gets 2,584. So he's also gone from having 230 a year to 580 a night, and he's still at 1.03. This is good. 6'10", big strides, powerful, 240-pounder, put the ball on the floor, overpower the smaller defender. This is good. Get to the rim. Get those rim numbers back up. 25-26 this year. He's run 269, which is less because of the offense was different. But he's at 1.05. They may have really isolated him just to having the opportunities against right matchups. He's 27th out of 100 in the NBA on isolation efficiency right now. That's great. That's great for him. He's not an offensive juggernaut. You're not going to win an NBA title with Jaren Jackson as your offensive powerhouse. You're going to do it because he's a defensive star. But 1.05 in isolation. Okay, now we can start. Now Will Hardy can start playing, right? So we run an off ball with Lauri, run some pick and roll with Key. We get some actions. He sets some picks. He gets some matchups. We get him on some guys. Ace Bailey runs off him. We're doing a bunch of stuff, and Jaren Jackson gets a matchup we like, and Keyonte's matured enough. He reacts, sees him, and lets him go to work. His drive game. These numbers are I got a lot of numbers here. They're a little tricky, but his drive game's really pretty good. So he was getting about 11 drives a game. He's down to 8 this year. He's 27th in the NBA in total drives the last 2 years. This is his game. And he ranks 47th out of 100 in efficiency. So he's a little above average. He does not pass a lot. He passes about 10 or 11% off his drives. By the time if you get to Jaren Jackson in a matchup, on an isolation, on a drive, he's shooting. 90% of the time. The ball's not moving again. We get that matchup we want it, like it's time to go to work. On drives, 5 years ago, he shot 44%. This year, he shot 54%. He's gotten better every year. He went from 44% to 51 to 50 to 51, now to 54%. So there's been a lot of improvement in that regard. His points per drive is 1.07 or 1.09. It's really good. He was at 1.14 last year. He was at 1.05, 1.08, and 5 years at 0.97. His isolation drive game is taking a major jump forward. That's how you're using him. You don't want him playing pick and roll. You're going to use him some there. You don't want to use him off ball. You're going to use him some there. Maybe Will Hardy's going to unleash something new about him. But you want him in a drive ISO game in a half court, which is probably meaning you want him on second side. You're running something with somebody else. They're going to it. They switch it over. You get Jaren running off an action to get a matchup change, and then you let him go second side. But this is where I think some of the massaging is going to have to take place, because he's used to getting the ball, getting 22 points a night and being a part of it. And he might be our fourth option offensively between Keyonte, Lauri, and Ace. And that's going to take a little work by Will to figure out the lineups and the times, and to give him maybe in second units against smaller guys, you're going to go play him in his 4 or 5 post-ups a night with that second unit. He's not coming off the bench, but one thing is that Lauri likes to play short stints. I don't know if Jaren Jackson likes to play short stints or long stints. I'll have to go look at that. If Lauri's going to play 36 minutes, it's best for Lauri to play 3 6-minute segments a half. So 6 6-minute segments for 36 minutes a game. Jaren Jackson might then take the offense for the final 6 minutes of the first quarter when the bench unit or the 3 minutes there, and then Lauri comes back and Jaren Jackson sits at the 9-minute mark. I mean, really getting detailed here. And then Jaren Jackson comes back when Lauri sits, and then in that gap there again, if you think about it, Lauri plays 6, sits 3, plays 6, sits 3, and plays 6, right? 18, 24. Those 2 3-minute segments in which Lauri's off the floor, you might be playing Jaren Jackson in the post at that point. The other thing that Jaren Jackson has improved a great amount on is his shooting. This is cool. This is really cool. So in 21-22, Jaren Jackson on catch and shoots was 33% 5 years ago. Then he went to 36%, and then he dropped down to 34%. Okay, that's just a really good sample. You generally have to have 753s to be able to see someone's real number. You want to take someone back 753s to get their number. So if you look at that, that's about 1,000 threes or so. It's 364, 325, and 370. It's a little over 1,000 threes. And if you kind of combine that whole number, he's at 34%. We don't have 750 yet. And so it's too early to probably totally project this, but we've got 510. Maybe even 520. In his last 2 years, he shot 40% and 38% on his catch and shoot threes. If he's a 38 or 39, 40%, so he's a little over 39% in his last 510. So we need a bigger sample size because 759 long calculus did this a long time ago. But if you can suddenly have him on the second side, you're running Lauri, you're running Keyonte, and you're kicking to Jaren Jackson, and Jaren Jackson's playing your 4, and so their guy came in to help, and now you're kicking out to Jaren Jackson for a 39% catch and shoot 3. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And that's also where if you're going to play a little pick and pop with him as a 5 at certain periods of the game, maybe those 3-minute periods he's playing the 5, that's awesome. What's also awesome is it's above the break threes. His above break percentage this year is 36%. Last year was 38%. And he's taken 169 of his 194 threes as above the break. Last year he took 300 of his, I think 324 catches of his, the others, some of them are off the bounce. He's not an off the bounce three-point shooter. He's not an off the bounce three-point shooter. His corner 3 shooting was a disaster for the first 3 years of his career. 26%, 33%, and 31%. In the last 2 seasons, he's improved at that also from 39 to 37. So he's 38% in the last 2 years on his catch and his corner threes, which is great. We like to shoot a lot of corner threes. I don't know that you want to space him there and have him slice, but maybe. So we're finding there's pieces here. It's just going to be a tough little match. He's not a natural pick and roll big. He's not a natural off the ball screen guy that Will Hardy loves to run. But he is a good isolation guy. He is a good drive guy. He's improved his shooting a great deal on the catch and shoots. So there are pieces here. I say this excitedly. Hasn't been a great playoff player yet. It'll be fun to watch him play in the playoffs. Yes! And see how he develops. All right, that is deep dive number 2. Hope you enjoyed that. Join our Everydayer Club. Get all this kind of access. I'll try to send some of that out to all of you because I might just take pictures and send it to you. There's just so many notes and news here, so I don't know if you want these all sent to you. But that is join our Everydayer Club at lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. We'd love to have you. We want to build that Discord into the best, smartest Jazz fan group. Use the promo code JJJ for a month free to get all the access. Leaf will give you special draft content. Leaf will give you breakdowns and all sorts of stuff getting ready for the draft as we're hopefully holding on to that draft pick. More content coming. This has been a double dip today. Thank you so much. You can follow me on socials at DLock09. Now, in the meantime, we send you the first ever national 24/7 NBA channel, Locked on NBA, with all the draft breakdowns. If you haven't caught the first edition of the Deep Dive, go back and catch the last edition of Locked on Jazz Deep Dive, Jaren Jackson Defense.